All right, welcome back. So we're gonna start working on the front-facing pieces of the dress. That is that's basically these three pieces, piece 7, 8, and 9, going to be sewn together, and then we're gonna pin that to the front of the dress. Um, so let's go ahead and get started here. Um, so we have our pieces here. Piece 8 was cut on the fold. This is the back neck facing piece. See piece 7 here, just removing the pins. Two pieces of that, one piece of this. Get our pin cushion here. And then our front facing piece, I have clipped together here. Just unclipping it. I think on this piece I did tailor's tacking for all the circles. It's supposed to be one here. I don't see it down here though. Um, just checking my fabric. Looks like maybe we missed a piece there. So I may need to mark that really quick with some carbon paper before I dismantle it here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just gonna pin this back really quickly so we can catch this dot here. Shouldn't need it too much. I'm just gonna throw this back in here and just to be able to put our mark here. So let me grab my tracing wheel and some paper, some carbon paper. We'll try to use a blue, and let's just see if we can catch this really quick. Move our piece 8 out of the way there. So we're just gonna go ahead and remove that. Put our paper down on this side. Just gonna do a quick X here. Okay, and then we're gonna do the back side here. Okay, I think that's good enough there. So we're gonna put our wheel and our tracing paper back. Hopefully that was the only dot we missed. On our pattern marking when we transferred it over. Just gonna move the pattern piece out the way. Let's put it to the side in case we need to use it for reference. Okay, so this is 9, this is 7, and then this is 8. All right, so says stitch front facing 7 sections to the back neck facing 8 at shoulders. So let's go ahead and get that pinned first. So this will be the shoulder section. Okay. So we're gonna turn it on the wrong side first. So we're gonna be taking these. Should be slits here, and there are. So that should match there to there. And I'm just trying to see if we got the right ends here matching up. Let's go back to our piece. Our pattern pieces. So slit should be at 10, 10 and 10 here. So 10 is gonna be the end, because we have slits at both ends. Slits, and then the end that has a bunch of dots and another slit towards it here. So I think this is the right end. I think this is the 10 end here. And then you have a dot there. And then this other end is where you have your square, slit, circle, slit. Yeah. And so it wants 10 to 10, 10 to 10 on here. So it's a good thing we kept our pattern pieces. Okay. So we're gonna have these guys line up here like so. Get them pinned. And then we'll do the other side. Okay, so we got that pinned. So let's do our other side. There are notches there. Trying to line those up as best we can. And get them pinned here. That's a bad job pinning. Try to at least pin straight. And also trying not to stick myself. Okay, so we got pin there. And then now we're gonna pin this free end here to piece 9. All right, so let's just see which end of 9. Gonna gotta be careful separating these because we want to keep our tailor's tacks in there. Just gonna pull these through here to make sure we don't lose them. Looks like we may have already lost something. But we'll worry about that. Yeah, I should have just used the carbon to mark these. I guess it's still not too late. I can actually mark them now. Let me just see if we're actually missing too many. No, we got 1, 2, 3. Our slit and then our mark there. So that piece is good. We'll have to check the other piece to see if it stayed good though. So let's see which pieces go with which. Let's see, piece 9 does not have, one end does not have a notch, and then the 11 in here does have a notch, and that's the 11 is where we attach to the 7 piece here. So we can line up those notches there on the ends. Okay, there's the notch there, there's the notch there. Hopefully this is all right. I'm not sure if it matters which one's on the right and which one's on the left. It might, because that actually seems like a really big piece. Or it's like it's not matching up quite right on that one. So I might need the other piece here. Let's see if that one matches better. It's not It's almost like the front facing is like too small on piece 9, which is strange. 'Cause it says this piece was for all sizes there. And like if we line up notch to notch, we're way down here, which doesn't really make much sense, I don't think. But maybe we're supposed to. We'll follow the notches. It's supposed to be notch to notch, so we'll line up where the notches are. Maybe it's just a funny piece here. It just seems like it's very off if we're lining up notch to notch. Because it's got a big little tail right here, and then this piece is not all the way over here. Let's stick another pin in it just to see what's going on here. The notches are supposed to be lined up, so I don't know. It's very strange though, because like once we sew it together, it'll look like this. And have that tail kind of sticking out there. And it's definitely not how it's looking on here. Just kind of looking at the instructions again. Well, yeah, actually, it's kind of hanging off a little bit on the instructions there. So it might be just how it looks. Because it says notch, notch to notch. And that has yet to guide me wrong. So notch to notch it will be. I'll make sure I line this up notched because I didn't exactly do notch to notch on here when I probably should have. So we'll do notch to notch. I don't know what else to do. Just an odd piece here. But I guess we can always we can always undo it if it doesn't work out correctly. Yeah, because it's not really any reason why these wouldn't line up with each other. These pieces weren't I didn't alter any of these pieces. I didn't shorten any of these pieces. So it should be for all purposes okay. see. Make sure it's lined up here. And we'll probably try to put 3 pins in here. I must have sewn on top of that pin because it is bent. Okay. So we did notch to notch. So we will go to the sewing machine, sew these up. Sew them up and throw a stay stitch in that curve on piece number 8. And then it says to finish the outer edge of the facing. That can be, we can do, usually I just use my scissors with the serrated edges and finish off that way. Or if you're fancy and you have a surgery, you can finish off the edges that way. So it would be the outer edge of the facing. The inner edge is the edge with the, let's see, the inner edge is this edge here. Should be the edge with the should have a couple of notches here. Yep. So this is the inner edge. This is the outer edge. As I said, you can finish however you like to finish. Let's go to our sewing machine and get set up. Okay, we are back over here at the sewing machine. I'm just trying to get our 5/8 lined up here. And to also make sure I'm actually on the fabric here, because we got that weird edge just kind of hanging out there. All right, so just gonna do a couple forward, a couple back. And a couple forward. All right. Okay, so that one's done. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, next section. So I started at the bottom. I think, yeah, I started at the bottom. So now we're gonna work our way towards up towards the top here. Okay, I'm just going to get these pieces started underneath here. Pull our tails back. Get our pieces laying flat here. Yeah, lining up at our 5/8 mark over here. Bring our foot down. Okay. All right, I'm gonna do a couple forward, couple back, and a couple more forward. Gonna remove that pin out of the way. And couple back, couple forward. All right, and that section is done. Chop off there. Okay, we're moving on around to the other side of our facing. Okay, let's put our tails into the back. All right, line up to our 5/8 here. And we have to make sure that we're actually on the fabric here. I'm gonna move this pin so I can see where we're gonna put that foot down. Okay, I think that's good. So we're gonna go forward a couple, go back a couple, forward. Yeah, move that guy out of the way here. I'm really hoping that this turns out right. I'm just gonna trust the pattern and the markings. Even though it looks a little funky to me, I'm gonna trust it. Alright, a couple of back stitches there. And a couple forward. Okay. Alright, and I think we may have just one more attachment to do. Yep, I see it now. I was like, I think we have one more to do. Okay, just trying to, fabric's all twisted back here. Just trying to get that untwisted. Push our tails back here. Just trying to make sure that piece kind of catches there. 5/8. Okay. All right, so it's gonna go forward a couple, go back a couple. Gonna go ahead and move this pin. And then I have to make sure that I see when I'm off of the fabric here, or almost off of the fabric, because this is just a tail here. So just gotta be aware of when we get to the end, we're at the end of one piece, but not necessarily the end of the other. Okay, and then do a couple back stitches here. And then a couple forward. Okay, I think that was the last joining piece there. All right, so we got these pieces pieced together, and then it just says we got a stay stitch around the neck edge. So stay stitching. Let's see what the seam length there is, 1/8 from the seam line and the seam allowance. So basically just stitching the seam allowance. So let's gonna try to get back to that section there, to the collar section. And we're just gonna run a stay stitch. Around the curved part there. Okay, so let's move our tails here. Very stringy, lots of strings to avoid here. And so we're just gonna try to make sure we get in between there. Let's see, just trying to make sure we're actually in on our, we're like in our thread there. Let's see, 5/8 is our seam allowance, so it says inside. We'll do it at like we'll do it right here. Okay, I'll do a couple forward, a couple backward. backwards. And we're just gonna put this stay stitch to inside our seam allowance. Yeah, I think we're about at a fourth, and I think it said to do an eighth. But I think as long as we're somewhat inside the seam allowance, we're okay. Okay, and I'm just gonna back up a couple. All right. And move our tails for next time. Okay, and let's see what we got next. It says to finish the outer edge of the facing. And so let's see what it says. For finishing, I think it just said if it was something special you wanted to do, you could. Let's see, finishing for woven fabric, stitch 1/4 from raw edge, and then use your pinking shears. For knit fabrics, stitch 1/4 from raw edge or overcast wet machine. I think this is a woven. I don't think this is a knit. So just stitch 1/4 from raw edge and then use your pinking shears. All right, so 1/4 from edge. All right. Okay. So that's gonna be a pretty long stitch there. Just gotta make sure I'm on the right edge here. Okay, let's see. Wants to be, says the outer edge, and the outer edge is going to be opposite the edges with our notches. So our notches are here, and so our outer edge is here. So we're gonna start, and then we're gonna have to stop at one of those spots where we kind of hop over to the next piece, and it said a fourth. And 1/4 is here, I think. According to my machine, that's 1/4. 1/4, do a stitch 1/4, and then pink the rest with your pinking shears. I'm gonna bump the speed up a little bit, and hopefully we can get through this. It's just kind of a boring straight stitch there. Just moving my fabric so I can hold it more straight here. Why is it a notch on that edge? Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is a cut to a view of the dress on my mannequin form. The last spot that we left off, I was at the sewing machine and I figured out that I had one of the facings sewed onto the wrong side. So I had to detach both of the facings and resew them to the correct side uh, of each of the front facing pieces. And then I sewed them onto the dress. So had to do a lot off camera to kind of fix that mistake and get to a good place where we could pick back up. But here is the dress on my mannequin form. Pretty much looks done. We have the collar on here, and then right now I have it tied, and so if we untie it here, I can show you guys the facing that I had to sew on and resew. So take it loose. So here's the facing that I still need to work on, but this is the facing that runs all the way down the side of the dress to the bottom, up around the collar, and then back down to the other side. It runs over the ties and then all the way down to the bottom. So what I have left to do as far as the facing piece, I just have to do some line stitching of the raw edge here all the way around the side and back down to the other side, so this doesn't come up on the dress. But I've already done the pressing, so I've pressed it to the inside of the dress, so it looks pretty good. So I'll probably do that part off camera, since that's just a lot of hand stitching and hand sewing. But otherwise it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the collar. The collar looks really good. You could probably do with some more pressing on it. And then also I had to look up how to actually tie the dress. And so I went on YouTube and looked up how to tie the dress. So you actually you run your tie through that hole that's on the right side, and that will come out on this side. And then you go around the back, and then you come back around to the front. And then this tie goes to the back, and then it comes back around to the front. So you have a little bow tie here in the front. I wish the ties were a little bit longer, so I could have more of a decorative bow, but it's fine. Maybe that can be an adjustment for the next dress. But I just wanted to show you guys the progress and try to get a good point to restart for this video. All right. So the next cut will be to the sleeves. We'll start working on our sleeves here. And once again, I haven't decided yet if I was going to add the cuffs or not to the sleeves. So like these are the cuffs here. I'll just probably just I'll still make the cuffs and I'll pin them to see if I actually like them on the dress. And if not, I'll just remove them and then go ahead and sew up the sleeves and move on to our final parts. Would just be of course adding the sleeve and then hemming the dress, and then that will be it for our project. All right, so I'm going to cut here, and then once we come back, we'll be moving on to the sleeves. All right, so like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and I will see you in the next one.